Masters on Friday? Or was that Saturday?
I'm trying to think if it was. That might have been...
No, that was Reese.
Yeah. Was it Friday night? We fucking met Allison Mack.
Chloe from Smallville. And that's what this music is from.
Yeah, that's why. Now it comes back to me.
Oh my gosh, see? We're totally zombies.
Yeah, so there's this web series called Reese. I forget how to spell it, but I'll promote it.
R-I-E-S-E.
And really, Brian and I found out about this the night before because all of a sudden on the list of guests for New York Comic Con was Allison Mack. Allison Mack, who plays Chloe Sullivan on Smallville, and which we're absolutely huge fans of Chloe. I think that Chloe is the reason that show is still around. So that in my head, I was like, all right, if there's anything I'm going to do that day, we're going to find out. We're going to find that panel, and we're going to meet Chloe, or we're going to meet Allison Mack. Yeah. So like I was thinking about that the whole day. I was like, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? I was always looking at that. They're like, maybe she's going to be at the table. She's going to do signing. I don't know. And then we found out that they have a panel after the show, after the convention, like at 8:30 or 8:15 at room 1A something. And so we're just sitting there waiting. And like that was like the day we're like amping up. Oh shit, we're gonna meet Allison Mack. We're not leaving here until we meet Allison Mack because come on, she's awesome. I'll put her over any day as one of the greatest talents. She has such a good
voice too, because like when I walked in the room, she was like hanging near the back of the room, and like I heard talking, and it was just her.
Yeah, so one of the first,
like, oh my God, that's cool.
So one of the first instances that I visually was not able to see this with my very own eyes, but so we're sitting up against the wall, waiting to fall in line into that panel that. We're the first persons in line for that panel. For Reese, it's a web show about a wolf, and it's a mixture of steampunk and something else. I forget what it is. Steampunk and something else. What do you think it is?
I thought it was just steampunk.
So it's like a steampunk, like sci-fi thing.
They don't really have like a Victorian influence.
So yeah, so Reese, check it out.
It's about a girl.
So we were in line and we're waiting to go, like sitting there, and like all of a sudden, like. What? You cut me off. What? Huh?
I didn't say anything.
I know. What were you saying?
You said, I don't know what it's about, and I was about to tell you. But continue with your story.
All right, so we were sitting there, like, falling up on, like, sitting there at the line, waiting to get in. And then, so all of a sudden, Brian goes, like, there's Allison Mack, dude. And then, like, I look up, but I was looking in the wrong direction, and then she already walked in. Brian was like, oh, you missed her. She already walked in. I was like, holy crap, so it's true. She's here. In this very building, like 5 feet or 10-20 feet away from us. So
she's on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, we didn't know that yet, but she was like on the other side of the wall. Great way to lead into the story. But we were walking, like we were already sitting there, so we already had that feeling of like, all right, so this moment's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's like cool. It really felt like that high school feeling. You know. Of like,
it kind of felt like you guys had like small crushes on her.
Well,
you're like waiting, you're like, oh, there she is.
Well, the true feeling is like the emotions and the energy is like equivalent to that. When you're a fan of somebody, it's like equivalent to having a crush on someone. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's the same energy. So you have that same exact anticipation, and that's such a great that's a great feeling to have. You know, it's painful, but it's also great. But like coming to like as a point of view from a writer. That's a great emotion to draw off of. It's just that like the anticipation of a goal of meeting somebody, you know what I mean? And we're huge fans of Smallville and her character exclusively too. So
yeah, Chloe rules.
And it was just sort of like a 48-hour process of like, holy crap, she's going to be here. It wasn't even that. It was probably at that point it was a less than 24-hour deal of like.
Yeah, I didn't even know she was going to be there until you guys announced it when we were driving up.
Yeah. So, and then. It was time to go in. We walked in, took the third, what's it called? The third row seating, and Carolyn, as soon as we were walking down the aisle, she's like, she's here, she's right behind us. And then I turn around and she's like right next to the door talking with someone else. And at that moment, you're like, oh my God, like that person's real. That's where I heard her
voice.
Yeah, that's where you heard the voice, like you told before. But it's like at that moment, you start to realize, like, oh, this is real. Like this person is real. It's so much like
didn't you do some animated characters' voices?
No, but what I'm saying is that like when you see like a person in real life, that's like, you know, you started breaching that fantasy reality world, and that's really another awesome moment as like a fan or anything.
What voices has she done? Do you remember?
I don't. But like when you see someone there, it's sort of crazy, and like that anticipation builds up, and they all come up to the stage, and they all start. You know, it's like a panel, and they start talking about Reese and stuff like that. They showed the trailer for the web series that I think is going. I mean,
it's going to be on sci-fi.com.
Yeah, so it's going to be on there. So it should be interesting how it pulls out. But when they first played the trailer, the audio wasn't working. So I like, oh, this is a funny, spontaneous moment where you can't, you're watching it.
Like, so is this a silent
web
series?
Yeah, this is like my first impression of the show. I'm like, oh, what does it mean? And in those theaters, you can't really see the screen as well anyway. So it's sort of like
not really a theater,
or
it's a room.
Well, yeah, like, room is a big theater, but it's like when you see it, you can't really see it. But the first thing that struck my mind when listening to Allison Mack talk was that she's extremely, extremely intelligent, and it makes total sense because her characters that she plays is extremely intelligent, So it was awesome. It was awesome to see that. It was one of those feelings you get where you're like, man, we need to freaking hang out with that girl. She's awesome,
Yeah. She seemed very secure too.
And that's the best part is, like, I'm a huge fan of, like, just strong people. It actually hurts me when people are, like, insecure and not strong. It's like sort of like, well, then why am I here? This is like, it's a waste of my time. And but like to hear her talk really strongly about sci-fi was actually like when she was
sci-fi as a genre.
Yeah, sci-fi in general as a genre. She spoke very highly about because she had the same feelings of sci-fi as I did. Like, to me, she brought up points that I had in my head. Not to put myself over like a millionaire, but like I was like, wow, like, she brought up how sci-fi is a medium that you can basically commentate and tell different stories, and you can talk about real life but at the same time colorizing it with characters and still commentate on. And I thought that was it's genius, and it's true. And not a lot of people these days don't really see that. They just get tied up in all the fuss of special effects and stuff like that. So then after the panel is over, we're all out there like looking at the buttons, and she's still sitting at she's still up during like the panel area. The
buttons that they had were like collectible buttons with, I think there were 6 different ones that had different characters from Reese, the series.
Yeah.
So everyone was collecting them.
Yeah, but while we were there, like the whole time, I care less about the buttons really. Like in the back of all of our minds, we're like, crap, we still need to meet her. We heard her talk, but we had to take that to the next level and actually like meet her and get that chance. But one of the things that sort of like pushed me away was I heard her say like, no, I'm not taking any photos. And of course, we need to have that photo with her. You know what I mean? You need to. But so we went closer because we saw that one of her co-stars was taking photos with people, and she was like, I can't. And I heard Allison go like, I can't take photos with anybody. If I got to, I got to take photos with everyone else. But and that was a little bit disheartening. But at that moment, I was like, well, screw it. We have to meet her or something like that. In that same energy. So while their co-star was taking pictures, Brian and I saw her move the other direction. So like, oh, let's go move that way. And then Brian and I were like, all right, screw it. We gotta move. Let's do it now. Then Brian moves first, and he like in passing by with Allison Mack goes, I love what you do. And then he like ducks and hides real fast. And then like
I think he got scared.
Yeah, and then like
in the hallway,
and then Allison,
yeah,
that's it. But those moments are awesome. Like looking back at it now, it's painful, but now remembering it, those emotions are awesome because they're honest. It's like when your heart is the most filled, and so he was like, yeah, she's like, I love what you do. He like hides away, and then she goes like, oh, thank you, and like turns around and says, oh, thank you, and then I'm like, crap, Brian did. I gotta go in there. And so I darted like right at her, and like I went and said like, Chloe, not Chloe.
Chloe.
That would have been awesome if I said Chloe. That would have made my day. That would have ruined my day actually. But really, what I said, I walked right towards her. Brain was racing like crazy, but I had to focus. I was like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna work with her in the future. I gotta be able to be composed. So what I basically did is I just spoke out loud and I said like, Allison, I know you're not taking photos, but I'd love to shake your hand. And she goes like, sure. And then like there was that moment she stuck her hand out, I stuck my hand out, connected, we both shook hands, eye contact, and I go like, I'm Joe, I'm Allison, it's nice to meet you. And it was like it was like boom, boom. It was like connection made.
You got touch points.
Then we parted ways, parted ways, but then 2 seconds later, she turns around back towards me and goes like, "Don't forget to watch the show." And I look back, and like it was another connection. I was like, "Definitely." And then that was it. She moves away. At that, and then I turned right towards...
You made connection with Allison Mack.
Yeah, and then I turned right towards Brian. I was like, "That's fucking awesome, Brian. We just fucking met Chloe, man."
You got touch points.
Touch points and eye contact points. It was a.
Did you get more points for eye contact?
I don't know, but like just the fact that you looked eye to eye and then like
she saw you.
It's those moments really that like in life I feel it might be a little bit silly to other people, but it's like, well, what else can you be excited about? And moments like that, I am the most excited because it's like I'm a fan, but I'm also but you're also I'm going to work with her in the future, but it's like. It's a cool moment to have as a fan and as like just the journey of the day. Yeah,
I think that I was really excited about you getting touch points.
But
from her.
It was crazy because the drama of after the show, after that panel was amazing because it's sort of like you hear Allison say like, "No, I'm not taking photos," and then all of our hearts just sank. We're like, "Oh, we're never going to get that chance now."
I mean, I respect her decision to say that.
No. I totally understand. But then, yeah. But then we started going. We're like, oh, we're basically like 4 feet away from leaving the room after we're seeing all the buttons and stuff like that. And then we suck it back up and we're like, fuck, she's still here. As long as we're still here, as long as she's still here and we're still here, we got to take this chance. Mm-hmm. And that's equivalent. That feeling is equivalent to anything that I've done, like whether it's trying to get actresses for my movie or actors to be part of my films. It's you got to sort of take that leap of faith and just getting the handshake and eye contact and meeting her. It's like it's worth it,
Also, I learned at the panel that she only had 1 day of filming on Reese, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
because it's like for 1 day's worth of work, she gets to be like at the panel at New York Comic Con and like listed as like her name in it, but it just shows you how much 1 day's worth of work can get you.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely, also it's for that her level it's like that 1 day's worth of work is name value attached to that project at the same time. And
also that series is going to have Felicia Day as a voice. Yeah, and they were really promoting that.
So yeah, that was the first day of New York Comic Con. At that point, I was like, I need to sleep. But then we went to a diner and ate.
And we saw James Marsters.
Oh, we also saw Zachary Quinto on the streets, which even made it even better.
Was that on Friday night?
That was Friday night. We saw, we saw